All right, we should be live. All right, welcome to the stream, everybody. Let's see, we got everything set up. All right. Go ahead and get my controller set up real quick, just in case we want to do some nice little cinematic pans of the level we're working on. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Boom. Look at that floating gun. Wow. Brand new enemy. No, not really. Let's... It's not actually a floating gun. Let's see what this looks like on the live stream. Hopefully it's not too choppy. Chippy, chippy, choppy, choppy. Looby, looby, lobby, lobby. I still can't get over this guy. I love his like little just goofy wanting to talk to you NPC dance. Does make me think we need more NPC animations though. Ooh, where's that? Uh-oh. That's no good. You go back through and stitch these Yep. Look at that. Little behind the scenes look. Hey, Otten. Welcome to the stream. How's it going, man? We're just starting off here, so we're just kind of chilling and looking at one of the smaller environments that we built for just testing some things. This is like our we call it our AI dev level, where we just kind of want to see how enemies react in a kind of close quarters environment, right? Since a lot of the game's levels will be kind of more or less like dungeons. There will be some open world elements to McSpacebiff, but we also are really big fans of handcrafted levels. Things like classic Halo or Doom or anything of that sort, and making sure these guys feel good in an enclosed environment is very, very important to us. Because generally in open world situations, I feel like half the fun is just kind of like exploring the world. So just sprinkling in a few guys here and there, you know, combat-wise, it's fun. But we're going to want to have more like tight situations where, you know, we have a little bit more of a feeling of what the player is going to experience. Boom! Oh man, I lost some health. Oh, heck yeah, dude. You found your dad's old laptop? Nice. Yeah, dude. You really needed a more powerful laptop for game dev. So, yeah, hopefully that goes well for you. Yeah, Troopser, welcome to the stream. You were watching a YouTube video and I was over here like, who is talking right now? Didn't know I went live. Yeah. No, actually, I'm a figment of your imagination, and I'm your alter ego. I'm your Tyler Durden, dude. I'm your game development Tyler Durden. So don't think about it too hard. You know, just be happy I'm here. You knew it? Yeah. Yeah, you're on to me, man. I'm gonna punch this guy. Come here. Come here. Come here. So rude. Oh no, I don't want to punch that guy. He can punch back. Ooh. It always feels really good punching the drones. I'm thinking at some point we should probably have some sort of like lunge to the punch, kind of like how Halo functions. Because it's really easy to miss it if you're not like right on it, which it's kind of cool because it, you know, it makes you work for it a little bit. But I do like that like ease factor. If my dad's old laptop only got 8 gigabytes of RAM and 100 gigabytes storage, it's actually worse than my normal laptop. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, hey, a laptop is better than no laptop, so... And it's like what I was saying last time. I think sometimes working on lower-end hardware for certain styles of game is actually... It's a blessing in disguise because you end up kind of optimizing your game as you're developing it rather than the other way around, right? So it's like if you know it works on that laptop, you know, it's going to work on a lot of machines. It's probably going to work on like a Steam Deck. Could probably work on Twitch. Troops are, hear me out, have those punchy guys make a Strog Berserker-like noise. Dude, the Strog were crazy. In both Quake 2 and Quake 3, they were just so creepy. I remember that scene from like Quake 3. Is it Quake 3 or Quake 4? It's whichever one had the campaign where they're like turning you into the Strog. They're like cutting your arms off and everything. Dude, as a kid, that like creeped me out. I mean, really cool, but yeah. So I don't know if we're gonna make our enemies have like a terrifying Strog type noise, but that wouldn't be like a bad idea if we ever did like a kind of like spookier level, maybe like a 4 level. And I always think that's kind of cool where what's generally like an upbeat game has a kind of darker tone level. Like Halo 1, perfect example. Like, you know, you've been on this bright, colorful planet the whole time, and you've just been fighting aliens, and for the most part, it's going pretty well. And then all of a sudden you're in like this like dark, gloomy swamp and you're fighting zombies, and you know, it's just like crazy. So yeah, I mean, if we're gonna do some Strog type kind of wailing, screamy, nightmare fuel sound effects, that'd be the type of level to do it in. And to be honest, we do want to do a swamp level at some point. One of the original like functionalities when we were working in Unity, we built this like modular like mushroom tree system because we wanted like a swampy mushroom level, and we're definitely gonna do one at one point. We just got to get like the tech back working in Unreal. It was part of Quake 4. Yeah. I don't think it's enough to get Unreal. Yeah. Understandable. Troops are looking back. Quake 2 and Half-Life 1, greatly informed sci-fi aesthetic preferences for sure. Yeah, dude. Honestly, those like branches into 3D first-person shooters, they were really pushing the envelope and like what they could do, and there was just a huge variety in levels. I mean, Half-Life 1, it goes from just, you know, this like kind of quaint, pristine lab to canyons to just like radioactive muck everywhere, and same thing with like Quake. Right, so if y'all missed it from the last stream, if you logged on or anything, we stopped in this room where I was kind of designing a jumping puzzle for 2 different areas, but we'll probably come back to that. Yeah, Lawless, you're logged in as me, man. Yeah, Lawless is, for those who don't know, he's the other dev, and starting pretty soon, he's most likely going to be doing his streams around noon on this same channel. So Lawless deals a lot in character design and just modeling in general. His is super informative, and if you're looking for any tips and tricks on how to kind of improve your workflows, definitely check his streams out. And you know, even if you're just wanting to like hang out and see something kind of cool, you know, check it out anyway. What on earth? Oh yeah, okay, I understand what's going on here. So this is a glass shader, and it's meant to kind of refract things and distort the view a little bit, but it's like kind of gunked up right now since we recently switched our post-processing system. So like our outline shader is like not sticking with the mesh, so it's looking a little funky. I need to probably just for my sanity just disable that for now. It's Otten, you're saying it's 112 gigabytes to install on Rail? Holy crap. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, my drive is, it's like basically dead because, I don't know, it's just a heavy engine. Have you considered maybe working off of like an external hard drive? I know I had to do that for a little while, but when I was using a laptop, my old like HP laptop from like 2010, it has like a hard drive space of like 50 megabytes. When we were working in Unity, I actually worked off of this external Seagate hard drive, and it kind of sucked, but you know, hey, you use the tools that you got. Troops are Lawless Logic, I owe you one beer. I don't know why, but why not? Lawless, you should take that beer. Any free beer is good beer. Yeah, Lawless, this glass shader is just like, we call this the Mind Destroyer. It doesn't, like, it's so weird. You could potentially like, oh yeah, and it's like doing that like warp effect like right in the middle too, where it's like, folks, it'll probably do the inverse on this side. Yeah, super weird. You could probably like adjust and tweak this to like have a pretty cool effect, but yeah, I think for now that's just something we come back to. Yeah, what Lawless just said, if you're ever working off of an external drive, make sure to back it up all the time, because they're super finicky and flaky, and you know, they're more prone to damage because they're external. But to be honest, you should just be backing up all the time anyway, regardless of what you're working on. Alright, well, let's get to some level design. That's what y'all are here to see. So yeah, so I'll show off real quick like what we were building last time. You know, we were talking about like Dishonored. Right, I need to, this just needs to be something else for now. 1 second. But yeah, we were talking about Dishonored and how I just really like a lot of like the jumping puzzles in it, and just jumping puzzles in games in general. You know, I used to kind of in my spare time with a couple friends, I would play jumping puzzle maps in Halo 3 that were made in Forge, and you know, they were always like a nice like chill distraction, but also even in our game Root, there's I'm just realizing an issue right there. There were a couple jumping puzzles where there's like rooms full of like filing cabinets, and the filing cabinets would like be pulled out like different amounts, and you could jump across the room, and if you did that, you would actually find a secret shortcut into the lower part of the level, and it's actually a really good speedrun strategy. And if you didn't even find the secret shortcut, there were there were like a bunch of guns in the room that you would get if you like did the jumping puzzle. Speaking of jumping puzzles, I am always better at them in first person, weirdly enough, just because most of my practice is in Halo. Yo, Frozen Magnum, welcome to the stream. Cheap viewers. Well, nothing cheaper than free, my man. So, I think I'm gonna stick to friends and some natural engagement. But hey, thanks for dropping a link. If I'm ever desperate for ghost viewers, I'll be sure to check that out. This needs to be in this way a little bit. There we go. Hey, I'm Sim Cook. Welcome to the stream. You'll be in and out for a while. Yeah, dude, gotta get the kids to bed. I mean, takes priority over just us faffing about in this stream. But hey, glad to have you here. Always great conversation. Especially if we're gonna talk about anything arcane or let's say any old school sandbox shooter. I keep messing these jumps up because I keep hitting a Cintiq on my desk and it's like throwing me off. See there, now I finally get it now that I move it out of the way. So I'm okay with jumping puzzles being like a little iffy because generally I don't make them a requirement for my levels. They're almost always like some sort of like secret. Man. Plus I'm kind of bad at them, so if I can do them, chances are someone else can too. I do think we need to tune our air control a little bit though, because it is a little like floaty. Well, oh! Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, if I can touch that window, it's definitely possible. Yeah, no one click that link. That is a virus link if I've ever seen one before. And if it's not, well, I mean, yeah. Paying for bots to watch your stream is like kind of gross because, you know, what are you doing, man? Like, you're selling yourself short. You gotta get that engagement au naturel. Especially with like a development stream, it's just like it doesn't really make sense because most of the type of people who are showing up to a development stream, they're showing up because they want to like learn something or see something cool about your game. But if you're like feeding bots into it, it's not really helping anybody other than the guy who's like running the bot for him. So yeah, thanks for the link. No thanks. Yeah. Yeah, Otten, I would not touch that with a 9.5-foot pole. I would, you know, don't. If anyone's dropping any links in here, it's gonna be me, and I'm gonna let you know about it beforehand. And most likely, it's probably just gonna be to our Discord, because that's where we want everyone to hang out and have a good time and talk about the game and, you know, just memes and games in general. I know a lot lately we've just been talking about. I always forget their name. I think it's iWolf. I'm Sim Cook would probably know. It's the guy who co-founded Arcane and ended up making that Weird West game, which was like really, really cool. They're making like a new IP. So we've been talking about that a lot lately. And also the new Warhammer 40k Space Marine, which is pretty cool because that is also another, you know, beefy dude action third-person shooter. And McSpacebiff doesn't shoot in third person, but he is definitely all about that third-person action. Dude, Space Marine 2, it looks so good, man. Yeah, Troopser is like an OG 40K fan. So like, if anyone has any questions in the chat, be sure to bother him, because I mean, he's like all out with it. I mean, mad respect for being able to hold that much lore in your brain without it frying. Lawless, you're on the skunk again. Switch back to your other account. I'm not typing that. I'm Sim Cook. Anyone watching the Exploring series on YouTube? No, what is that? I don't know anything about that. Wait before you switch, give me mod. No, Troopser, we're not giving you mod. Yeah, maybe at some point we'll like set up mods and everything. We haven't even set up like Streamlabs, which is something we intend on doing pretty soon, because we want to be able to stream to both like YouTube and, you know, like Twitter or TikTok. That's not me having like the allergic reaction to TikTok. That's just me coughing. I'm still sick, by the way. I don't know. I think I feel like walking pneumonia or something. I am definitely 1,000% better than I was last week, though. I say that and I immediately burst into a coughing fit. Oh, dude. Okay. I'm Sim Cook. So, the Exploring series is your favorite lore guy. Does a lot of Warhammer and good little series on Lovecraft. Oh, dude, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan too. I mean, you already know that. We were talking about like Call of Cthulhu. Funny enough, Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, it's like an old game. It did not get very good reviews when it launched because it was kind of glitchy, and the graphics were like a little outdated for the time. But it is a classic favorite of us at Skunk Ape Interactive. In the same way, like B-list movies are like kind of fun. There's like a pretty hilarious disparity between the main character and his internal dialogue and his external dialogue. So what's really funny, I think his name's Jack Walters. It's been like a decade since I played, I don't remember. But you can interact with things in the world and he'll comment something on it. Because it's kind of like a mix between like old school shooters and like Amnesia. So it's like a detective game at first, and you're like detecting, like I think you're like looking into a murder in Innsmouth, and you can like interact with something, and he'll go like, "It's too hot to touch," and it's like that old like Atlantic accent. But what's really funny is that's his internal dialogue, and on the outside he'll be like losing his grip on reality and be saying just like, the voices are everywhere. So it's really, really funny, like seeing him having the breakdown on the outside, and you can interrupt it with like, dead bodies and lots of them, just in like a really chipper detective voice. It's super goofy. Yeah, no worries, Auten. You know, the stream's gonna be going on for a little while, so if you got a dip for a bit, you know, we're gonna be hanging out, making some progress on this level. I'm Sim Cook. We've talked some Lovecraft for sure. Oh yeah, dude. Funny enough, in our game Deadlock, our VR game, we were working on a boss fight at one point, and the boss was actually Dagon. And it was like this just like giant fish monster like slapping the level and, you know, trying to like body slam you. But we found it a little too difficult to do in Room Space VR, and we never quite finished it. Yeah, dude, you gotta play Call of Cthulhu. It's, for one, it's definitely something that will run on your Steam Deck. It needs like patches to run without breaking, but it's a really cool game, and it tries a bunch of different mechanics that are kind of ahead of its time. it's a real shame it didn't like do better at launch, but hey, I mean, happens sometimes, you know. Those cult classics, they're box office bombs, and then later they're just beloved by everyone. So yeah, give it a play. I mean, it's probably like $10 on GOG, maybe even cheaper on Steam. I don't know. Give it a little looky-loo. But yeah, what I was saying, a lot of Root had like some Easter eggs in it. Like a lot of Shell's dialogue will kind of vaguely reference some stuff from the old words of Jack Walter. I think that's his name. It's good. Hold on. Is that his name? Yeah, Jack Walters. I'm also losing my mind. Well, see. Don't be. No me gusta. Wow. Ooh. Oh, these UVs aren't set up correct. Okay, well. I'll just leave it as whatever for now then. Sold. Yeah, dude. $10. I think it took us like 12 hours to play through it. So, you know, $1 an hour. I mean, you can't even get a McChicken for less than like $5 these days. So, you know, it's definitely worth it. Okay, you know how we said earlier, don't click any links in the chat? This is an exception. Lawless just posted a Steam link to Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. And yes, you want to play the old one, not the new one. There was one called just Call of Cthulhu on like PlayStation 4, and I think it's also on PC. But it's okay, but it doesn't have like that weird B humor charm, and it's also not a shooter. And we are big fans of the shooter genre, considering that's literally all we've ever made. So, oh, thank you for clearing that out, Lawless. Yeah, honestly, you know, we probably should have some mods at some point. Troopser, you know, play your cards right, and maybe we can put you on deletion detail one of these days. Oh yeah, I was looking at this last time, and this is bothering me. So this feels like very amateur hour, right? Because it's like I want people to go around this way, right? But in the real world, this geometry would never exist, right? Unless you're breaking 8 billion OSHA violations, which, to be fair, the Soviet Union, I don't think they're very concerned with OSHA, but yeah, this type of environment is fine where it's a drop down onto a slant if you are coming from this direction already, right? Because you want to funnel them down, but I want to kind of incentivize players going back around this way, so we need to flatten this out somehow. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that right there, and we're going to push this ramp back. Gonna readjust all this. Let's see. Got another floor piece here. What on earth? Oh, right. Yeah, I put the glass there. So that actually... See, you change one thing and you gotta change 8 million more. That's what I was saying before, you know. It's like you have a plan on paper of what a level's going to be like, but what is this glass? Oh, I didn't name it glass. That's gonna be annoying. Excuse me. See, that's the problem with that weird glass material, is you can't can't select it in the game editor. Man, that's annoying. Okay, it's somewhere in this grouping. Nope. Boom, 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 boom. Come on. What? Am I losing my mind? Or is it just further down? Ugh, whatever. I'll come back to it. Ooh, no, that's actually way worse. Oh man, that would be funny. Troops are, but I'm terrible at cards. Hey man, you know, when I say you play your cards right, you get it. You know, you're not thinking like a gambler. Remember, so even if you're bad at cards, you know, 90% of gamblers quit just before they hit it big. So you just gotta keep playing, man. That's how you get good. I mean, you can only lose 100% of the stuff you own, but you can gain infinite times what you have. So yeah, think about that. Can we set it up lawless? Can we set it up whenever someone gets banned? The Oblivion Guard pops up and goes, you violated the law. Oh man, yeah, we definitely need that. Yeah, so I want to like start setting up some like custom Twitch stuff. I mean, we did actually set up one new thing. If we happen to get a new follower, y'all will see something kind of funny. But it is currently reserved for new followers only, unfortunately. Where is this wall? Why is it not highlighting? I feel like I'm going crazy. Okay, it's in this grouping. Is that it right there? Oh, okay. I'm never doing that again. Actually, you know what? I lied. I'm gonna undo that. We're just gonna make this like something very obviously not the right material. So I will know to come back and replace it. There. Beautiful. Who doesn't love a window made of wood? Yeah, no worries, SimCook. Just hop back in whenever you get a chance. Boom. That break. Nice. Okay, cool. This needs to go there. Right. Okay, yeah. That's what I wanted. I wanted you to be able to like. I'll just hide it in the editor, but yeah, I wanted players to be able to like run down this hall and notice that there's like a whole other area here. And you know, if they walk around this way, they notice like, okay, well, I can't get to it from that way. So currently the only way to get back there is this kind of like secret passage. So it's going to be like kind of an off the beaten path shortcut to two different areas. They're going to reconvene kind of around here. But Root had a lot of stuff like that where there would be like entire segments of a level that were like a basement that you could only get to through a vent. What even is that material? Okay, this material, it's your material that you made for the trees. It's the tree trunk material. It just doesn't look good on a wall. But that was kind of the point. I wanted something that looked like distinctly wrong so I can remember to come back and replace it with glass. Because for some reason, all the glass materials we have, once you apply it to something, you can't select that mesh in the editor anymore. Don't know why. How's the stream quality, by the way? Am I like coming through okay? Is there like any stutters or anything? Yeah, it's different on a plane, man. Yeah, let's see. Nah, I don't remember what we called the tree. Probably like denizen tree or something. I was gonna like bring it in to see, but who knows? Who knows what it got called? I'm not worried about it. So I need to. Oh, I gotta remember how to do this. I could probably start using like coldest and volumes, because the more enemies I put into this, the worse it's gonna run. Let me rebuild this real quick, see how they... Ah, dang this one. Oh! Okay, well, yeah, they're doing fine. Oh my gosh. Fighting drones in close quarters is like kind of spooky. Okay. Well, they gave up. Okay. Yeah, I'm really glad I raised the ceiling on this area here. I was feeling too claustrophobic earlier. Love the ragdolls, man. Alright. That feels good. I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I forgot Houdini Engine has its own like little tab. My mind is like going blank right now. I'm trying to remember how to add a landscape mass. Do you just do it in the landscape tab? That would make sense. Dying of brain rot after working my 9 to 5, which in reality is actually more like a 8 to 7. Alright, let's see. 256 quads. Lots of quads. I actually don't need the landscape to be that big for this level. It's gonna be a dungeon. Overall resolution. No, we're cranking this up. It's a shame it can't go any higher than that. Was it landscape? That would make sense. Maybe M landscape. Oh, you're gonna make me open the other scene, aren't you? we'll create it with no material first. To be honest, no, we'll do high resolution first, and then we can always just load the crap out of it. So my thoughts are, I know we're building a dungeon, but part of this is going to be like underground, and like some of the areas are going to be like collapsed. So need to this landscape. Making it this high res was actually a bad idea. I forgot I have to do this on stream. Let me. Holy crap! There goes Unreal freezing. It's probably just gonna be quicker to kill it, actually. Just, wow, the joys of game dev in Unreal. Oh. Okay, it's back. Please put me back into selection mode. Yo, thanks for the follow. Drover ride. And welcome to the stream, by the way. Yeah. Imagine then I can lower the general quality of the stream. Okay, let's create this landscape. I don't think the resolution doesn't need to be super high. Oh, that's so much better than what we were using earlier. Oh, I got the nice like volumetric shadows, which are going to be completely wasted because this is all indoors. But thank you, Unreal, for having beautiful lighting. Let's see. What do I want this to be? Right, so I don't... I don't remember what material I had on this. It's probably like MI. Let me score landscape. Or landscape. How embarrassing. Oh, that's the physical material. I don't care about that. Landscape. Landscape. That might be it. Paint. No, that's definitely not it. My landscape material has a billion layers on it. Alright. Well, first things first, we're going to save this scene. Remember to save early and often. Save iterations. Have something like Perforce set up. Iteration is the way to go when it comes to game design. You don't want to be redoing work over and over and over. If you do something that is just bad, you want to be able to roll it back. So use something like Git or Perforce, or heck, even just, if you've got nothing else, just like upload copies to like a Google Drive or something. But that's kind of gross. I don't recommend that. This level takes forever to load. I really should move this project to my NVMe drive at some point, because I am running this on the oldest hard drive known to man, and it is just, you can't hear it right now, but it sounds like a jet engine is taking off in my ear trying to load this map. But that was the hard drive I had the most space on, and you know, if it runs on that hard drive, then it will run on good hard drives. So yeah, I'm actually thinking big about this. I'm not just being dumb. I'm being dumb. All right. Oh yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen, this is like a little demo overworld that we're working on. Excuse the popping and everything. The graphics, I assure you, look much better on the high settings, but I've got them like super low just so I can manage the stream. Yeah, this is like a little hub world with different environments that the dungeon level is actually part of. So I'm coming back here so I can check the landscape material. It's just called landscape material? What? Hold on. There's no way. It's just called landscape material. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, thanks, dude. It's kind of so in like the final game, we wouldn't have all these like environments like smashed up together like this, but we wanted to just kind of show off that there are a variety of environments, and that you can kind of like run around and talk to like NPCs, and do like different quests and stuff. And dudes like this guy over here hanging out in his like little Dragon Ball Z looking pod. But yeah, there's a combination of a bunch of different environments. All the trees and everything here are placeholder. A lot of this is placeholder, but it's kind of going to be like a small like demo overworld, and we're going to give you like a lot of chances to like test out the mechanics and everything. You know, talk to some NPCs, do some like little quests. You know, check out this like little city over here. I haven't built it out yet, so don't look. But yeah, just McSpacebiff overall is going to have quite a lot of variety when it comes to environment. These three are just kind of like our generalized base ones, and the way I'm setting it up, you're going to be able to like kind of explore everything you can see. There's like McSpacebiff's ship crash site over here. Spoilers, I'm not going to show that off. Anyway, excuse me. Let's go back to the dungeon level now that I know what the landscape material is. Doctor Override, yeah, that's neat. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. You know, in the final game, we would have pockets of different environments like butting up against each other, but they would be much larger spaces. But for the sake of a demo, generally you want the playtime to be under an hour. Just because at that point it's kind of a game. I mean, we made a game a while back that was a prototype, and it ended up being like an hour and a half to play through the whole thing. And people didn't even play through like the first 40 minutes, so I didn't want to make the environment too big. We have a speeder bike to allow you to get around the environment more. I'll actually show that real quick because it's kind of funny. So this is our speeder bike at the moment, since we don't have any. Since we don't have like a finalized model, I just made a sign that says speeder to kind of like let people know. you know, that's what you're riding. You know, I had a little honky horn or whatever. Anyway, super goofy. We're gonna have like a cool best speeder ever. Hey, so funny enough, this will actually be an Easter egg in the game. We're probably gonna have a mission revolving around it. You already made a cool looking speeder. You know what I mean. Something that fits the generalized aesthetic of Captain McSpacebiff, right? Also, right now, obviously this dungeon level is like super plain. What we do to build these levels out very quickly is we use our like snap kit system, and then these little panels can be swapped out for a bunch of different like types of materials, and then we go back in and set dress them, adding in more props and things like that. But in terms of just like testing the gameplay itself, we want to keep it super simple so we can do some rapid iteration. And that said, you know, it still doesn't look terrible. I mean, I've seen, you know, kind of jankier looking stuff. Dr. Over, I'd use that in game. Dude, I mean, it's a funny little thing, and it's so yeah. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's gonna be a mission around it where someone asks you to go get his like prototype speeder. And the joke is, you know, in games generally when someone asks you to like go get this like prototype weapon or prototype car, it's like the best thing in the game, right? But the joke is in this, it's like it's actually the prototype from the development, and it's going to be super slow and terrible, and you have to get it back to this guy in order to like get like a code to a vault or something. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a usable speeder. It's just not a super good one, so, which is like even more so of a joke. But yeah, definitely going to be usable. Oh, man. Alright, so... Oh yeah, I like left the level because I didn't remember what I named the landscape material. Turns out, it was called landscape material. Who would have guessed? Wait, did I just double that up? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Look at me not paying attention. Landscape material. Right, okay. Nice, there we go. I want my 8 billion layers. In fact, I might actually end up needing a different landscape material for this, since the areas that are going to have landscape in this dungeon are going to be more like collapsed in caves. So we don't really need all this grass and everything. So if it's lower on overhead, we'll probably swap it out at some point. Anyway, I think I'm gonna... Wow, that's actually way lower than I thought it was. Let's bring this up. Now it's way higher than I thought it was. That'll probably do. I just wanna... I'm not even gonna bother doing any texture painting or anything for now. I'm Sim Cook. I had that moment today. I was trying to figure out how to access animation frames through the script. Searched and searched forever. It was framed. Yeah, dude, sometimes it's just like you're thinking like, okay, surely this thing is like tucked away in a menu somewhere. It's like, where could this possibly be? And it's just like, okay, like earlier I was like, oh man, where do I add the landscape? Surely it couldn't be under the landscape tab. Yeah, it was under the landscape tab. And I'm like, okay, what's the landscape material called? Surely it's like GI landscape or something. It's just, I called it landscape material. So sometimes the simplest thing is the, right answer. And sometimes the problem is you. In my case, the problem's always me. Alright, let's build up like a little cave area. That is too much strength. I will say the one thing I miss about like our old pipeline when it comes to like building terrain. So back when we were like in Unity's landscape material and mesh editor was just awful. So I built the levels entirely in Blender and used Blender's dynamic topology sculpt system. What I liked about that is it worked a lot more, I guess, like in tune with Wacom tablets, like pressure sensitivity. And you could kind of sculpt out instead of just up and back down and like punch holes through things. So, but in terms of just quickly iterating on things, this is a billion times better. Not having to load a whole mesh back into your engine and like wait and like, the more complex your environment gets, the longer you're waiting, and that's wasted development time. So sometimes it's just better to kind of compromise in order to get your thing done, right? Sometimes it doesn't have to be the best, most perfect thing you've ever done. Sometimes it just has to be good enough. That said, don't skip out on quality. Like, it does still need to hit like a certain threshold, right? You can kind of tell when someone very, very quickly kind of scooted something out, right? You know what? I lied. I think I am going to put material on this. Excuse me. I think we're going to do that. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit better at like telling depth and stuff. Instead of just like that amorphous gray. Honestly, I feel like with landscape materials, they should probably have some sort of like grid on it by default instead of that gray, because it would allow you to kind of judge depth a little better. But I don't know. What do I know? The key to decent looking sculpts in Unreal is alpha brushes. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. You can add a lot of detail to it. A lot of what I do is kind of just like roughing in amorphous stuff, but at some point we're gonna go back and add a lot of detail. Like at this pass, when you're like building the level itself, it doesn't make sense to use alpha brushes because it's heavier when it comes to like editing everything. But once you have the general form of what you want, and you know for certain like that geometry isn't really going to change all that much, alpha brushes are a crazy way to add like super fine detail to your landscape mesh. Super good. Thanks for that recommendation, Lawless. I always forget about alpha brushes because we're not quite there yet. I like to think we're still in that like kind of amorphous stage when it comes to level design. And especially when streaming, I want it to load quick. We're gonna bring some rocks in. Now, let's see. Let's look at our rock collection. There she is. There's my favorite girl. Actually, you know what? I need to do something about this fog. This fog's annoying. There it is. I don't want no fog. I just want it not obscuring my every vision. This could probably be brighter. No, we're gonna put the light down. It's hurting my eyes. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, alpha brushes. That is the way. You know, what I might do is I might just start putting like room lights in. Because sometimes lighting can inform your level design. Because if something doesn't light well, like if like a area is obscured or something due to like shadow or whatever, it might not be super clear to the player where to go. Lights are like a super handy tool when it comes to like directing player movement. Generally, like if you have two paths and you want the player to go down one of them, put a light on the path that you want them to go down. And just from like a psychology perspective, people generally want to go where they can see. So it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, like the psychology of spaces. Like if you want to direct people somewhere, having, you know, like open spaces and then like closing spaces is really good, right? So again, like in this particular instance, if this was like a much larger hall, since it funnels back down here, it's not as bad. But if it was like a really large hall that like kept going, and then I had this like small space over here, you're more likely going to move to the space to the left, right? Because there's more cover, it feels cozier, and there's more protection. And that's something that players are just generally instinctively going to want to do, because, you know, if you're like in some big area like this, you're going to feel a little exposed, and, you know, you don't really have anywhere to fall back to. So, but you want like an ebb and flow, right? Like you don't always want it to be, you know, the like big areas, because, you know, it gets kind of boring and you start to feel a certain way. And if it's too small all the time, players tend to get a little claustrophobic. So you want these like openings and then closures to kind of give, you know, peaks and lulls. Because any too much of one thing it's going to make players either feel too uneasy, too stressful, or just downright bored, right? So there's a balance, and it's kind of hard to figure out. And a lot of it kind of comes down to you build a level and you test it, and then you iterate, and then you test it, and then you iterate, and then you test it. And then once you think like, okay, this is pretty good, then you give it to other people, and then they just completely tear it apart. And then you realize like, okay, maybe I have no idea what I'm doing, but these guys are giving me feedback on what they want, and just by watching them, I can kind of tell what's good, what's bad. Level design is like one of those weird parts of game dev where, you know, you have an idea of like what's good, what's not, but you 100% have no idea if it's any good until people play it, right? You know, things with like art and characters and things like that, like you can kind of, you know, have an idea of like, okay, this is of a particular style, this is something that people are generally going to like because it's similar to other things, but level design, it's, you know, it's very dependent on if that person can read your space, right? Because it's a very interactive component. Same thing with like enemy design. It's a very, very dynamic thing. I wonder if I want these like levels to be like sandy underneath. Hey, welcome back, Otten. Trying to install Blender on that old laptop, but I can't find the installer. Ew. What version of Blender do you use? I'm interested to know, because your animations are crazy good, man. You know, I have both the newest version of Blender, and I think it's like 2.78 or something. Let me see. 2.79? I don't know. It's like an older version. It's like before they changed the layout. Let's see. Yeah, 2.79. And to be honest, I kind of really still love 2.79. Like, I've updated my new Blender's like layout to kind of match it, but you know, sometimes I just don't have time to learn a whole new system, and for what I need, 2.79 gets the job done just fine. Most of our animation's done in Maya, so I don't really touch it for animation. But to be honest, I mostly use Blender for like quick and dirty blockouts of like assets or potential things I want for a level, but I'm not making finalized assets in Blender. I'm Sim Cook. Are designs pretty one-to-one in terms of how they look objectively versus how they look from player perspective in terms of levels? During the last of Will's streams, he found that the backpack he's been doing, just going from literally right in front of the character to on its back, look completely different despite being the same size. Yeah, it's that's something that's like super dangerous when it comes to like level design. Like you get too disconnected from it, right? Like you're building it and you're thinking like, oh, this flows well and this looks good, but you're doing it from like, you know, kind of a god perspective. Like you're too pulled out. So you need to like consistently hop back in to like test it, because you go like, hey, you know, it'd be cool if there's like a bridge here or something, and you're like, yeah, and the player's gonna like see the bridge when they walk through, and then they're gonna know to like go around here. In my case, I don't want them to see the bridge, but you could very like easily think that, and then, you know, you come back down into the level, and then, you know, you find that players aren't looking up because, to be honest, most people don't look up. They're more scanning the horizon for things that are like ready to attack them. So, you know, they miss the bridge, and that's something that, you know, it's very, very easy to like miss that kind of thing, and soon enough your level doesn't really make sense anymore based off of like what you're trying to accomplish. So it's very important to like consistently let me use super jump here. Ooh! Kind of snuck up on me. There's another guy down here. I forgot I made this like event guy. What is going on here? Ew. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh, that's right. I was messing around with it. I saved over it. Never mind. I was like concerned there for a moment. Yeah, I put this guy like down the vent. But yeah, it's very important to like test the stuff as you go through it. But more importantly than you testing the things, once you have a pretty good feel for like, you know, does it feel good to you as a level designer to run through it, or just in general? have other people test it out. Because if they can't navigate it, doesn't matter how good you think it is. I think I'm actually going to delete this guy for now, because I'm going to be running up and down this hall a lot. You're on Blender 3.51. On to End the Night. I feel like I'm doing something wrong because the installer should show up. Yeah, how did you download it? Did you like download like a zip or something? Because it's possible. It's possible that there isn't really like an installer and there's just like an executable like hidden in the zip. I don't know, it's been a while since I've downloaded Blender, especially like the newer versions. Oh man, yeah, see, that's why you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. That's something that happens kind of, not like a lot, but you'll get so wrapped up building like one part of your level, and if you're doing this like kit bash type thing, it's very easy to like have it break into another part of the level. So again, make sure to run through your levels often. I didn't really want this hallway here anymore to begin with, so this is kind of fine. It's more or less a reminder that I need to kill this. Actually, I'm getting an idea here. What if this is like a collapsed hallway, right? And it's implied that there was like an out here, and you like close it off on both sides to kind of like pull the level back together. That could be good. That said, this still needs to like be adjusted because this is gross. Yeah, Otten, I don't know what's going on with that Blender, man. Executables be tricky. You know what? I am going to hop back over to our vertical sliver map real quick. Just to see. I want to see what material I have on these rocks. I might have to make a new one just to match the like an underground vibe, because like these are good for like desert rocks and you know, like the cliffs and everything, but I don't think tonally and color palette wise they quite match what I'm trying to do. Oh, you figured it out, Otten? Was it like a hidden file or something somewhere? This level is terribly optimized at the moment. It's mostly these trees, which are placeholder. We're gonna swap those out with some new meshes, and the leaves are good, but we need to rework the shape of them anyway. Yeah, this color here, I don't know. I don't think that's like a good like underground rock material. Oh, you downloaded from the archives, not the releases. Yeah, yeah, you gotta be really careful which version of Blender or just anything you're downloading. That was certainly interesting. Looks like my NVIDIA encoder like crapped out there. What on earth? Very, very weird. Well, anyway, we're back live again. Okay, let's go back to the vertical. No, well. Yeah, I want to take another look at like all these materials here. I think probably like a cooler stone would probably work as like an underground like rocky material, but I also don't hate the idea that this like base goes back under the like sandy area. So yeah, let me just reload this real quick. Yeah, apparently my like computer like just couldn't handle the level. Yeah, we're back. I'm thinking we're back. Yeah, so what happened is my NVIDIA encoder just like couldn't keep up. So yeah, this level isn't, we haven't optimized it yet. So me like leaving the stream running with something, I think there's like something like 60 enemies in the level at the moment, and they like technically all render at the same time, even like, you know, behind you. So that's an issue that we need to fix at some point. But you know, as I'm making the level, I'm not that worried about it. It runs normally when I'm not trying to stream. Anyway, let's go back to the dungeon. But yeah, like this base here, like it's going to be in the underground, so I think it would be fine if like part of it, like in terms of like design, like was technically under the sandy area. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have like some sand like crashing through in some of like the rooms and have like sand piles and stuff. So I think the cave itself could be kind of cool as like a deserty cave. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so like this would actually be like maybe like sand, maybe. We need to redo these materials at some point, but that doesn't look terrible right now. It's like super low detail at the moment, but like palette wise, I think that's okay. Let's just do all this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was thinking like it would be kind of cool to like have like a room with like all these like monitor banks and stuff, and then like, you know, let me sculpt this up here real quick, kind of give an idea what I'm talking about. Whoa. Too much. Too much. Too much. No mas. Boo, boo, boo. I need to lower the strength here. Let's just paint that real quick. Yeah, something about like a room full of like monitor banks that have been like flooded with sand. Kind of cool. Kind of like, you know, Fallout-ish, Metro-ish. Let's see. we're going to actually just flatten this whole area. I'm gonna crank the strength up. That way I have a flat palette to work on, and then I'll sculpt that stuff back down. That way I just have an easier area to grab from. Okay, let's go back to sculpting tool, make this look really small. Brush. Yeah, for sand, I think the brush fall off is like appropriate. What do y'all think? Y'all vibing with the sand in interiors? Kind of always thought it was like kind of cool, but what do I know? How's the stream quality, by the way? I know we had that like problem with the encoder earlier. I want to make sure y'all can like hear and see it okay. And then you probably on the night. Sand, good idea. Yeah, I agree. Hey, and you got Blender working. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking we're back. Oh, and you know what? It would be kind of cool if like some of these like panels were like falling apart. You could probably do. You take this off of our cell snap. Then just pile it up, baby. Maximum FPS on your laptop is 24 frames. Oh, Auden, that's heartbreaking. I'm sorry to hear that. Lawless, we need to make a trim kit for behind the panels, like pipes and wire. Yeah, I definitely think so. Just like a pulled off, like what it would be is you would have like essentially this, and then like another one that would be like right behind it, right? And you know, cover it with like wires and stuff. Portal had a lot of stuff like that where like panels would be like obscured. And yeah, it looked really cool. Lawless. To be honest, I just put a dev grid panel behind it. Once we can put a trim kit together, we just swap it out. True. I could do that. Yeah, that's something I'll think of for more of like a detail pass. Again, probably the only reason I'm doing like sand and stuff inside real quick is because this is the type of geometry that does actually affect gameplay. Like it's like taking up physical space. Out in the night, so no more smooth animations due to 24 FPS. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Lawless, just turn up the motion blur. Yeah, do that like you know, that 2008 thing that every game did. You know, our game runs at 27 frames a second, but you know, we'll just crank the motion blur up and no one will be able to tell. Yeah, that said, motion blur is still a really good way of like hiding frame dips, right? If done properly. Otherwise it just feels sickening, in my opinion. I want to like have it coming through, but not overly so. Yeah, this landscape sculpture isn't like super accurate, but it's good enough. I probably could have opted for a higher resolution landscape mesh. That's my bad. No amount of motion blur can fix what you're seeing. Man, I'm sorry. That's, again, working with less than optimal hardware is the bane of every developer, right? Craftsman is only as good as his tools, to a degree. For the longest time, all of Skunk Ape was running on crap hardware. Yeah. I'm Sim Cook can second that. Yeah, dude, dude, you're running on a Steam Deck, which is just, to me, is like, makes me physically ill. But hey, if your game runs on a Steam Deck as you're developing it, you know it will run on a Steam Deck when you publish it, so there's that, you know, silver linings and everything. Oh man. Yeah. I feel for y'all. If I could give all the homies Threadrippers and, you know, 4090 RTXs, I would. It took a while to save up even for the rig I'm running right now, and this was, I mean, I've been iterating on this build for like 10 years now. Just piecemeal building it, like, you know, stick of RAM 1 year, graphics card maybe like a year later, and then, you know, once I finally got it to like a certain degree, I just haven't touched it in forever. Let's see. That's kind of cool. Kind of cool. I'm digging it. Yeah, you don't talk about a Sandy Bridge processor. That joke is terrible. Don't react to that, please. Can say that. Slow and steady. Yeah, I am Sim Cook. You know, you keep at it. It's game development is death by a thousand cuts, and what you're cutting is the game, right? You're it's like working with marble. You know, you just got to keep chipping away at it until you find the sculpture inside. on the night. May not be as smooth as butter, but can still work with it. But I wish I had at least 30 FPS. Yeah. I wonder if there's got to be a way to like lower the resolution of like the viewport, right? There's probably some way to like optimize either the mesh you're animating or the viewport itself to run smoother. Maybe animating in wireframe or something? I don't know. I don't really have a good suggestion for optimizing Blender viewports. What's the poly count of the mesh you're trying to animate? That'd be like my first question. See if you could run a maybe a decimator modifier. Could make it run quicker. You know, don't apply it, but you know, have it, you know, chop up your geometry to where there's not as many vertices. The problem with that is you can't quite tell if it's like warping as much, but generally speaking, if the lower poly version looks okay, the higher poly is going to look fine. I'm Sim Cook. Yes, Sensei. Yeah. Yeah, don't call me Sensei. Sensei was my father. Just call me Harrison. That sounds like a joke, but that's like actually a real thing. My dad's like a 5th degree black belt in like judo and taekwondo, and was my sensei growing up. That was real fun, you know, having your dad be the sensei of the class and just like pitting you up against like, you know, 35-year-old Greek men who weigh like twice as much as you and are like 4 belts above you. Hey, no better way to learn though, you know, than like getting your ass handed to you by someone who's just stronger and better than you. I will respect your wishes. Damn. Yeah, damn is right. Yeah, like sometimes we would practice judo at home, but we didn't have carpet. Like we had tile with like a thin carpet on top of it. Ugh. I think that's like part of the reason I still have back problems, is just like trying to, you know, just like do like kisagatami or like, you know, it's like a mount or something and just like hitting tile. Oof. Serious, my dad's laptop maximum FPS is 24. I justified trying to run some games on it. Oh, it's not even, so it's not, it might not even be like a performance thing. It might just be like that laptop's refresh rate is just that bad. That would be extra awful, but yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're kind of SOL. Hey, that said, a lot of great animations are capped at 24 frames a second, right? They give them like a little more weight and impact, and as long as the animation itself is playing in the engine at 60 FPS, it's probably fine. I know a couple of our animations for Root were 24 frames a second, and you know the data is 24 frames a second, but when you're seeing it in the engine, it's running at 60, right? The problem with that is it doesn't give you as many frames to like mess with in the actual animation. So that's not ideal, but it's doable. Still, feel bad for you, man. That's rough. Yeah. If you can't get the machine running faster than 24 frames a second in Blender, Unreal is going to be a no-go. That said, there's still development you can do outside of the engine, right? Like modeling, texturing, maybe animating is off the table, but there's a lot of other things you can do, at least until you can kind of get some finances together and get a working system. I would also just like check like Facebook Marketplace or something for like just like a you could probably get like a tower that's like half decent for like $100. Lawless, you could play Wolfenstein 3D. Hey man, Wolfenstein 3D is sick. I mean, our the OG Root teaser trailer was a Wolfenstein 3D reference. Great game, timeless classic. Yeah, I'm some cook, timeless classic. Man, this room is looking sick. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's coming together. It's making me realize I should have definitely increased the resolution a little bit. Detail mode, high. What? Interesting. High makes it disappear. Keep it at low. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, I was testing the detail level on the landscape itself. I wanted to see if I could like bump up the resolution of it. But now that I think about it, it's probably better to work with a lower detail because I want to make sure it looks good for people who are running it on lower end systems. So it takes a little more effort to like smooth out edges because you're working with less geometry. But again, we are low end system sympathizers here at Skunk Ape. Shout out to my boys in the chat. Oh, Autumn in the Night 24 FPS on Unreal is a bad idea as well because my bullets will go through the character if the frame is lower than 28 FPS. Oh yeah, it depends on how you're calculating bullet impact, right? Because if you're doing hit scan still works, but if you're using like actual like physical colliders that travel through the world, yeah, the lower the frame rate, the less accurate it's going to be. And I think if it drops under like 20 at all, hit detection basically like goes out the window. Yeah, Sim Cook, to answer your question, what was happening there? I don't know. I don't know why the, for whatever reason, changing this portion of the landscape mesh to the highest level of detail just made it disappear. Maybe the detail was just, it was too high poly and complex for our primitive brains to see. So maybe it was rendering, it's just we're incapable of seeing it. That reminds me of like that old like saying that people used to say, it's like, oh, the human eye can't see more than 30 FPS. And I'm just like, have you played a video game ever? That's such an insane statement to me. And like people were so adamant about it. I don't remember like the actual number. I think it's somewhere around like 120 is when you can stop seeing less detail, like less difference, right? But you can still tell a difference, right? Like even if you're not like physically able to like see a huge difference. Also, just like having extra frames as like a buffer is generally a good idea. But yeah, like if people couldn't tell the difference between 30 FPS and let's say like 90, VR headsets would all run at 30 FPS. But unfortunately, that makes people throw up because in real life you have more frames to process, and when you try and move around in VR and you don't have that same level of information, it makes you VR sick. It's like one of the big problems with like mobile hardware VR is a lot of games can't be ported to it because they just won't run, right? Like I played Beat Saber on like the Quest 2, which is like the wireless one that's like all the hardware is built into the helmet, versus like my old plugged in Oculus, and the Quest 2, I think it runs at like 90 frames a second. But the original Quest could run at like 120, and the difference is night and day in terms of like having reaction time. On the night, I played Pirates of the Caribbean online with 12 Dude, Pirates of the Caribbean online. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we used to play that all the time at our friend's house. Honestly, Sea of Thieves before Sea of Thieves existed. Really cool game. Especially for like a free Disney like tie-in game. It really did a lot. Had sword combat, like open world missions, ship combat. It was pretty cool. That game did go super hard. Like honestly, like the mid 2000s in terms of like what people were trying to do in terms of like online MMOs was like super creative and cool. And you just don't really see that innovation anymore. Like I feel like a lot of games now, they're more worried about like making something like bigger and like higher fidelity than they are about like doing something cool and new. Like Skull and Bones is like a perfect example. It's like, you know, visually it looked pretty good, but in terms of like mechanics of like what people wanted from a pirate game, it was really lackluster. Like Sea of Thieves blew it out of the water, and I love Sea of Thieves, but that game is far from perfect, and there's a lot of things that could have been improved on. And the audacity to call Skull and Bones the first quadruple A game is hilarious to me, because that game is like, it does, like the water mechanics don't even look good as their own flagship title from like, what was it, 2013 that Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out. That game looks so much better. And like the water physics were a lot better too. Yeah, Otten, I 100% agree. Graphics should always be there to support the game, right? They shouldn't be the most important thing. That said, I like my games to look good. I like them, to not be completely indecipherable, but gameplay and tone and vibe and mechanics should take precedence over graphics. And I think a lot of these big companies are missing out on some really cool opportunities of like things you could do if you were just to pare the graphic fidelity back a little bit. But it comes from like a marketing perspective, right? Like no one wants their game to like look worse than like the last generation. I gotta jump off. Well, hey man, thanks for hopping in. It was good to have you, and we'll catch you next time, Lawless. And just to chime in, Lawless has some streams of his own that are super cool. He's been making a backpack for McSpacebiff that's going to be like a communication and like trade point, and he should have some new streams popping in on Twitch pretty soon, so keep an eye out for those. Unless the graphics are needed for gameplay. Agreed, right? So yeah, like a good example of a game where some of the visuals are kind of a prime element is Mirror's Edge, and that game aged like a fine wine. It looks so good. And funny enough, one of the reasons that game aged so well is it was run in Unreal Engine 3, right? And you think DICE would have used their own engine for it, but they were working in Unreal Engine 3, and they built out a custom light map maker, right? And at the time, things like global illumination and bounce lighting weren't a thing in engines. So they built out this like pre-baked renderer to where they could pre-bake all the lighting in the scenes. So it's like you get all these like really sharp colors and things like the blues and reds like bouncing off like the whites in the world. And that's why it just looks so good to this day. But talking about graphically, like one of the things they do is they highlight all of the like runner areas with like a red material to kind of let the player know dynamically these are the directions that you need to move through the level. It's something you can actually turn off. There's like an option for runner vision, but I think that was a really cool idea, and it was like one of the first games to kind of use that idea where certain things of a importance to the player are going to be a certain color. And funny enough, a lot of games take that idea and don't understand why it's good, right? They just know, okay, important things need to be a certain color, right? But the reason you set it as a certain color is to make it stand out from the environment. So generally a lot of games will use non-naturally occurring colors, whites, because whites just kind of like pop out against everything. Reds and yellows are kind of like the top three, right? And then you have games like a good example is I was watching my friend play the new iteration of like the Final Fantasy remakes. I think it was like Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. I don't remember what they're called, but it had that same idea where, things of importance were like yellow, right? But the surrounding environment would be so flashy that yellow just kind of faded into the background. Like there's an area where there's like a crystal cave or something, and the crystals are just like blindingly bright and like lighting the entire area, and then you'd have like a little railing that'd be like a dingy yellow off in the corner. That shows me they copied that idea without understanding the necessity of the mechanic, right? So, and that's, it's just kind of lazy design and development. It's like, it doesn't matter if you made all the things in the world that are important yellow if the environment and art is just so cluttered that they can't use it. So, yeah, art style, it's important. Just because a game looks better doesn't mean mechanically it's better. Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake looks gorgeous, but that's a really bad design overlook. And I think a lot of that comes down to when you have people who are working on games that are that large, there's just generally a lack of communication between departments, right? So it's like the level designer, he's going in and designing the level in probably like a gray box scenario, right? Or kind of similar to what I'm doing, like it's not quite gray box, but it's not like super detailed. And then, you know, once they've tested it, make sure it works, and they have like an art team go back in and dress it up. The art team's not necessarily going to know what's like good visually for like level design. They're going to make what just like looks really good in screenshots and videos. So that's why I think it's like super important that we just as, you know, devs and, you know, gamers in general, we support these like small to like medium tier guys like you know, the studio that made like Hi-Fi Rush. Perfect example. It's like they're a tight-knit team and everything about that game is so cohesive, and you can tell that everyone in that company is like talking to each other, right? And even in like their earlier games like The Evil Within, you know, they had a couple problems, but such a good and like fun you know, horror style game. Yeah, Sim Cook, rip indeed. Excellent studio. I heard news today that the studio is kind of getting saved in a way. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush studio saved from Microsoft shutdown. I hope this is true. PUBG owner Crafton has acquired. Okay, yeah. See, look at that. Tango Gameworks. Good for them. I'm so. They absolutely deserve to be like held together and saved. That's super cool and heartwarming. I just love to hear, you know, them make it out like that. Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they make next. And you know, PUBG, they started as like, you know, a small indie studio, so there's probably a lot of respect and you know, general support from someone like them as opposed to like Microsoft, who is just, you know, just they're looking to squeeze every dime out of every crevice. So we might get we might get a second Hi-Fi Rush. Might get an Evil Within 3. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm super happy to see them, like, you know, keep their head above water. Now, if only the same could be said for Arcane, but to be honest, I think at this point it's probably better that the members of Arcane, you know, go on to do bigger and brighter things, especially considering those IPs are still owned by Bethesda and Microsoft now. So super sad. Love the Dishonored franchise. Loved Prey. I would have loved to see, you know, a Prey sequel or prequel. Probably one of my top 10 games of all time. But, you know, Bethesda, everything they touch turns to diarrhea. So. Man. Excuse me. Speaking of Bethesda, dude, where is Elder Scrolls 6? Wasn't that an announcement like a decade ago? 6 years ago. Okay. But yeah, the fact that we haven't seen anything in 6 years after they were like really hyping it up is kind of nuts. Some cooked fire. Arcane. Yeah, Arcane Awesome is just... Oh, man. Such a good studio. On in the night. So what should I do? Can't get Unreal right now. So what can I do to make a game? Well, that's hard to say because I don't really want to say like you should abandon your game, right? Because especially the progress you showed, I mean, it was really cool and it seemed pretty solid groundwork. If you really believe in the game, I'd say find a way to get a system that can run Unreal, right? Yeah, because like pivoting engines based off of your hardware doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? Especially if you think this is like a game that's going to make money. You know, it's worth, you know, pinching pennies and saving up some money. Right. Yeah. Like you can let it go for now. But there's also things you can do not in engine, right, for development. Like something like building a design doc or, you know, any number of things. Like just working on character designs. Again, you know, pen to paper level design. I do that a lot. I like my rapid iteration, but having a full, you know, like idea of what I want a level to look like is also really, really good. Making some additional models. I mean, you don't need high frame rate to be able to do something like that. I have 21 game design docs for 21 different games. I don't doubt it, man. We've got a backlog as I mean, for every year we've been doing game development, we've got another idea that we haven't executed because we're always looking for the perfect time. Yeah, I mean, it might not be a bad idea to, at least until you can get some better hardware, maybe pick up like the Unity engine or maybe Godot even, and make like some like small prototype type thing. You know, just work out some concepts. Something you could potentially even pull over into your game. I don't know. Hard to say. Digging the sandy room. I think I'm gonna put another wall behind this though. Yeah, because this is, you can probably squeeze your way through if you try hard enough. Come on, I know I can break this. Maybe not. Mainly, I just don't want that sun shining through. Oh, is that not on the south snap? Ooh. Gross. I just want to block this sun and block this in. off chance someone can peek through. It should kind of look like it's a room. Excuse me. I've made it so I can have the code for a game done in 2 months. Or if I ever get help on a game. Okay. Yeah, it might be worth prototyping something, man. I mean, there's a lot of concepts that can be, you know, knocked out in 2 months. You know, might be worth switching to Unity until you can get something a little stronger. That said, you could probably find something like just like a Dell tower or something that could run Unreal. I mean, it wouldn't run like great, but even you know, integrated graphics cards on a computer from like 4 years ago should be able to like run Unreal probably like 30 FPS, especially with your game. Your game doesn't seem like super like beefy in terms of like graphic fidelity because you were already working on like a kind of low-end system. Yeah, welcome back, Troopser. Yeah, so since this entire dungeon is like in an underground facility in the middle of a bunch of different environments, we're gonna have some breaching from different panels and stuff, and the environment's gonna be creeping in, right? Like, I've always been a huge fan of that kind of thing where you have like a man-made structure that's, you know, kind of been neglected and ravaged by time, right? Like this is a very old Soviet Union facility, right? And you know, parts of it are active, but you know, parts of it have been left in disarray. Crouch jump. Oh, made it. Oh, excuse me. Maybe I should use UE4. That might work on this laptop. Yeah, that's also possible. If Unreal Engine is something you're most familiar with, an older version could potentially work. Again, it's hard to recommend. You know, adjusting your entire development based off of the hardware you currently have on hand. I would almost recommend more just like finding a way to get something mid-tier powerful, because you can buy like a Dell tower computer from like the Facebook marketplace for like $100 that will be powerful enough to run Unreal. No, 29 gigabytes for UE4. Yeah, and you know, you can always run the latest version. So to be honest, Unreal Engine 5 isn't that new, and there's plenty of games that are fantastic that run on Unreal 4 still. Sea of Thieves comes to mind. How come UE5 is 112 gig? I don't know, man. That's insane to me. Like, unless they're including like Quixel Megascans or something in it, I don't think my version of Unreal is that big, right? Let's see this. No, I'm actually using 5.1. Those gigabytes are adding up. Yeah, maybe it is 115 gigs. Why are 12 gigs? What version of Unreal 5 are you trying to download? Yeah, no, this is UE 5.1 is only like 60. You should be able to get that. I mean, 60 is still pretty bloated for an engine, but that's with like templates and stuff, right? You can rip that out later. What did they put in it? I don't know, man. I'm Sim Cook. Magic. Yeah, magic. I mean, hey, Lumen to me is magic, right? I mean, bounce lighting that looks that good and runs that fast on relatively medium hardware is crazy. Yeah, what Troopster said, make sure to not download all the optional things, because there is, I mean, let's be honest, like, most engines these days are just full of, like, bloatware, right? Like, there's so much, well, not bloatware, but, like, stuff you don't personally need. Operating systems are full of bloatware. Microsoft is, like, I mean, Microsoft is basically making viruses these days, right? Like, you can't like, why do I want Cortana always running on my computer? I don't use it, and it's like such a pain in the butt to like rip out. Like, you gotta like do registry edits and everything, and anytime there's like an update, you gotta go through the whole thing again, and eventually I just give up and go like, okay, Cortana, you're my best friend, and I will never get rid of you. Yeah, 60 odd and 60 is a lot with a laptop with a maximum of 100 gigs. I mean, you could probably get like an external hard drive, like super cheap. Yeah, you get like a Western Digital hard drive for like $50. Or, ew, that looks kind of gross. But you can like Walmart has external like 1 terabytes for like $14. Space is super cheap these days. That'd be like worth checking around. Like I said, I ran everything off of this like kind of crappy Seagate for years. Again, you want to like back things up often, but you know, if it works, it works. You know, that's the thing with development. You push forward in any way you can. Incremental bites. It's like eating a horse. That's a weird analogy, but yeah. Ooh, I'm getting better at my jumping puzzles. I'm Sim Cook. Incremental bites. B-Y-T-E-S. Boo! Boo! Bad joke. Oh man. And you know what's even worse is I laughed at it. So good job. That's that dad humor. You just had a second kid, so you're leveling up, dude. Yeah. Getting better with it. Oh man. Alright, well I think general vibe for this room is like good for now. We can come back to it. One thing I want to do at some point is I don't have it, but like have like a steel grate that you could like look down through. Again, it goes back to that level design thing where this will be glass at some point. I just don't have a glass material set up, so I made it wood. Because you would be able to see through it. Speaking of terrible puns. Yeah, so I like that concept where you can always like see an area before you can kind of get to it. Kind of gives like a player a reason to keep spurring on. What's the plan on the hatch? If you didn't say already. Great pun. Yeah, your bad puns are contagious, man. So, Sim Cook, maybe dial it back a little bit before this just devolves into just nothing but just awful puns. Nah, stay true to yourself. Make as many bad puns as you want. This is a safe space for terrible comedy. Yeah, plan for the hatch is just like add glass and stuff. I need to definitely at some point have like a steel grate you can like look through, as well as like glass, right? It's like glass is like good for like walls, and you know it's gonna be thick enough to where it's like realistically bulletproof. But having glass on a floor like this to like see an area below or above doesn't really make sense, because the aesthetic of this area, like they wouldn't take the time to like build a see-through glass floor. But to have like a grate that you could like look down through would make sense, right? Just for like ventilation's sake. What about the 8 gigabytes of RAM after getting the external on the night? That is a good question. Well, depending on the laptop, right? Depending on how old it is, you could probably pretty easily and quickly update the RAM, right? So people think of like laptops as like these like unupgradable things, but RAM is generally pretty easy to swap out in laptops. In my old laptop, I swapped an 8 gig stick for 16 gig, and you know that was enough for me. And then I swapped my main hard drive for like a really small HDD, so it would like load quicker. I paid like $40 for like a 50 gigabyte solid state, so my computer would like run the programs and everything faster. And that was like 8 years ago, right? It's a Lenovo IdeaPad laptop. Yeah, Otten, you should be able to upgrade that. I would look up the model number of the laptop and find out what kind of RAM goes in it. And there's so many like just super easy YouTube tutorials where it'll like tell you like how to pop it open. Especially like those old Lenovo IdeaPads, they're built to be upgraded actually, because they're like work computers, right? So you could definitely buy like a probably either 16 or like 32 gigabyte, maybe not 32 gig, but definitely like a 16 gigabyte RAM stick, probably pretty cheap, and have a half decent, little machine. I'm Sim Cook. I thought I remember you saying something about maybe ventilation or something. Sorry. Yeah, so there's gonna be a ventilation system up here, and once you like get up there, you're gonna be like in the rafters, and there's gonna be like hidden guns and stuff. But for now, I think I'm gonna leave this room as is, mainly because it doesn't make sense to spend a whole bunch of time on secrets when you haven't finished the core of the level. But Yeah, I also just need more pieces for that. Yeah, 16 gigabytes is plenty. I mean, I only very recently updated my rig from 16 to 32, and that was literally just so I could do streaming, right? If you're not streaming and you're running just like Chrome and, you know, Unreal, it's gonna be plenty. To be honest, you could probably do it on 8. It'd be tight, but you could probably do it. But yeah, upgrading 16 that's kind of the bare minimum I recommend for people. Let's see. I think I want these two areas to connect like this. You know what? I probably use 45-degree angle right. No, that's not what I want. I want this. Is this not on the blueprint? Oh, that's why. It's the wrong one. I was about to say, what am I doing? I was like pretty sure I set all these kit pieces up on the 45, but I don't know. The upgrade will probably be cheap, but what about drivers? What about drivers? I mean, depending on what hardware it is, you should be able to like update it. Especially if you're no, right, you're trying to stick with Unreal 5. Yeah, whatever the computer is, I would just look up whatever the graphics it's using. My guess is if it's like an old Lenovo IdeaPad, it's probably integrated graphics of some kind. But there should still be driver updates for it, I would imagine. Especially if it was like your dad's old laptop and it hasn't been used in a while. It should be able to run Unreal though. Maybe not super well, but should run it. Let's do a half wall here. Anyone see those reviews for the new Borderlands movie? I mean, I knew it was gonna be a dumpster fire because it just kind of felt like a Hollywood flip. And just like going off the advertisement and stuff, like it really looked like it was made by people who had like never played the game, didn't know anything about it, and were like, "Hey, let's make one of those video game movies. That Mario movie, you know, that Mario movie did pretty good. Let's what's a video game that children like? Borderlands. Let's make a snarky Borderlands game, movie game." And then, you know, it just bombed. I heard one of the main issues with it was just the pacing was really bad, and like the editing was like done by someone with just no attention span. Like it was like designed to be watched through like TikTok almost. Like there was no consistency in the pacing, and like shots wouldn't last longer than 10 seconds. So there was like no continuous shots, which is just ew. I mean, I have terrible attention span, as you can tell by me like getting distracted flying through levels and talking about random stuff, but I mean, I can sit still for longer than 10 seconds, and movies that don't have any like continuity in their shots, are generally just a mess to follow. Let's see if I can get it working better with some upgrades on some stuff. Maybe I can get UE5 working. Yeah. I would, regardless of if you're going to go with Unreal 5 or not, that external hard drive is going to be super helpful, because 100 gigabytes on a laptop, you're going to push up against that so quick, right? Because the operating system's going to take up some space, whatever, external executables like Blender or Photoshop or whatever, they're going to take up some space, and you're gonna need things for like textures and models, and so you're gonna push up against that 100 gigabytes basically immediately. So external drive would be probably my first thing I would get, and then I would also order some RAM that would upgrade your system to where it's like a usable computer, right? You might have to dip down to something like UE4 or maybe even Unity, but again, that's better than not being able to work on anything. I'm SimCook. So down the road, how will you handle level optimization? How does it look like in Unreal? Your preferred workflow, like applying an occlusion coin? I'm guessing you're talking to me. But these dungeons are actually pretty well optimized, right? So the way I designed these panels here, let me pull these out real quick. So the way these are built is actually kind of interesting. In order to have like these like seamless textures, and also make sure that they match in the corners, right? You couldn't have them cut off like here in the middle, because then you would have this like situation where the geometry, when you would like corner it, it would look something like this, right? And it wouldn't be like a clean seam. But more importantly, by having this overlap of like vertices, you ensure that there's like no gaps visually in the occlusion, right? So anything behind this wall, if I bake an occlusion volume, it's going to get hidden. So funny enough, in order to like make these like not Z fight and like, meet in the middle, the geometry is ever so slightly, you probably can't tell from here, but it's like straight, and then it like tapers in here, and then they meet in the middle with the same texture right here. But yeah, in terms of like occlusion culling, these like panel type systems are actually pretty good at it. In terms of optimization for the exterior level, the main issue we're running into right now is the foliage is not optimized. So hundreds and hundreds of trees are being rendered, and the trunks of those trees aren't optimized. They don't have any LODs at the moment, so there's no like level of detail shifting depending on distance. So they're always like at the highest quality. We have it to where they turn off after a certain distance, but that's not the same. And the leaves don't have level of detail, which the leaves are actually very, very heavy because they're very, very dense. Yeah, you see that guy's short on Insta. You seem to really get it across. Not often you see people site editing as being so bad. Yeah, Yeah, I'm Sim Cook. And what's funny is, like, the actors who are, like, part of the movie are doing basically the most they can to trash the movie without, like, breaking their contract. They're saying things like, well, it's no Citizen Kane. Well, it's no, you know, Forrest Gump. It's no Goodfellas, you know. So, I think it was like Kate Blanchett was saying that, or maybe Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know. Which again, let's talk about that casting, right? Kate Blanchett is playing a character that's like 20 in the games, and Jamie Lee Curtis is playing someone who's like 21, and you know. Someone said something about like you could combine the ages of the characters in the games and they would still be younger than the actresses that are playing them. It's just bad, man. I mean, also, I'm not 100% sure, but I think Kevin Hart was playing Brick, and Brick is like a 7'8" just tank of a person, and Kevin Hart is, you know, Kevin Hart. I'm Sim Cook. I had the cosmic horror moment of realizing, oh shit, when I'm not looking at it, it's not there in like every video game I've ever played. Yeah, dude, occlusion culling is like crazy. I watched a video a little while back of like someone breaking down Ghost of Tsushima for PS4 and PS5, which again, that game's insane. Like the number of like blades of grass it can render and like run at a consistent frame rate. Very, very impressive. And like, not the grass is not just moving, it's like moving with like wind systems and like bending and like looks good up close. But they like pulled it out, and when the character like shifts, like their occlusion culling is like super, super tight, so anything that's not immediately in their cone is just gone. So it's like, you know, it's that whole like, you know, if I'm not looking at it, it doesn't exist to me. Yeah, 16 gigabytes of RAM, upgrade drivers, external drive. Those are the main things. But again, I feel like if you're gonna go to all that effort, you could probably buy like a Dell tower for under like $150, right? Yeah, like something like this, like a Dell refurbished PC. It's got like i7, 64 gigabytes of RAM, 4 terabytes. You know, Windows 10. You know, up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. So you could do like probably like 16. Yeah, but 16 it bumps it up like $176. And you know, I don't know what graphics drive it's running. It's probably an integrated whatever, but it's gonna be so much better than that laptop you're running on, man. So I would say just save up maybe like a little extra money, just buy one of those. And what would be good about something like that is eventually you could probably just even slap a graphics card in and it'd be a pretty good system. So that would be my recommendation over like upgrading a laptop. Yeah, just maybe pinch your pennies for a bit. And yeah, I'll drop that in the chat. It's just eBay. That looks sketchy. Hold on. Oh, that's a long link. Promise it's not spam though. And the refurbished eBay stuff is actually pretty good. It's, for the most part, it's just like old work computers that people don't want anymore. It's not like someone's like run a crypto mine or anything like this. Yeah, I'm Sam Cooke. What sucks is they are excellent actors. And you can kind of tell just even from the trailers, they're just phoning it in. Like they're there for the paycheck, right? I mean, kind of same thing with like these like big name actors. They're like just so. I mean, they're older now, and they're just like they've been through it, right? In terms of just like, okay, it's like I'll do so many movies that I hate doing for the paycheck in order to like do something that's like kind of cool, like a good movie Jamie Lee Curtis was in, like that wasn't that long ago, was Knives Out. Like that was a really fun movie, but with a cast that large, I can't imagine like everyone was getting paid a ton, right? So you know, for every Knives Out, you gotta do like 2 Borderlands, right? Yeah, that MSI Bravo. That's a really solid gaming laptop, right? For the price. And it's gonna be a huge upgrade over what you're running right now, which is, I mean, to be honest, everything's gonna be an upgrade over developing on Steam Deck. But you know, having the added bonus of being able to play modern games on the go is pretty cool, right? I thought about, you know, buying a gaming laptop not that long ago so I could do development on the go, because I work a remote job, and you know, the big perk of a remote job is you can work, you know, anywhere in the world. But I don't work anywhere in the world because, for one, traveling is expensive, but two, you know, I always want to be working on the game, and if I'm going to be staying anywhere for an extended stint, you know, not working on the game is not an option for me, right? I mean, we're only 2 guys working on this, and you know, you see how slow it goes. I'm a little bit faster when it comes to level design, but I'm not like talking to people. But this is super cool and super informative too. So I'm not gonna stop streaming just to make a little bit more progress. I like hanging out with y'all. Y'all are cool peeps. Plus, it's also cool just to always hear what other people are working on, and you know, the Twitch game dev category is like a good way of bringing in other devs. Yeah, it's like I didn't know Otten last week, and you know, now I see his cool game, and maybe able to give some advice on, like, you know, what to pick out and how to keep it going. We devs, we gotta support each other. It's a hard knock life, man. So yeah, speaking of Borderlands though, I think the CEO of Gearbox said, like, either today or yesterday, ooh, he's like the floor above me, said that they are working on something for us, and he spelled "for" out like FOUR. So chances are they're working on another Borderlands, which, man, I'm a little concerned because the Borderlands series hasn't been on its A game for a while, right? In my opinion, it kind of peaked at 2, and 3, it was kind of iffy. It went too hard on like the lulzy, like spammy, what I like to refer to as millennial humor, which, you know, I'm a millennial, so I can kind of trash it a little bit, but it's like that cringy, like early meme humor, just wacky, random. Wow, whoa, I'm so random. It gets kind of old pretty quick, and 3 kind of went overboard with it. Plus, they didn't even bring back the voice actor for Claptrap, which was a little weird. Supposedly that was because they had like a little bit of a falling out over like the pay. So like the voice actor for Claptrap, he worked at Gearbox as like an employee for years, and then he quit to go work. I think it was for Rooster Teeth actually, and then he wanted to do the voice of Claptrap again, but they didn't really want to pay him because this was like the first time they'd have to pay him because he wasn't an employee of Gearbox, and they couldn't agree to a number. So they're just like, well, you know, we'll just get someone else to do it rather than pay you. Like, what's fair? And again, this is from the mouth of the voice actor of Claptrap, and I think that like tweet got deleted later because it was like kind of in bad taste, and you know, it's sometimes you say, we all say things in the heat of passion, Jimbo. It's like that old Jimmy Neutron meme. Yeah, so I don't know. It just kind of felt like, again, Borderlands 3 was phoned in a little bit, and maybe the humor wasn't really to my taste, which is fine. But I think the general consensus was the series is kind of dipping in quality a little bit. So it'll be interesting how 4 is. Good. Love hanging, man. Big thanks to you and Will for putting these streams on. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining. Like, it's always cool to like hang out, you know, with some friends and some fellow devs and just kind of talk about the industry and just games and stuff as a whole, because it's so easy as a developer to kind of end up in this like bubble where you're just like, I'm gonna do nothing but focus on the game because that's the only way the game's gonna get done, and then you know you just you kind of lose touch with reality. And I think a big part of like what makes games good is feedback from community and people who are like-minded, right? Because you're not going to be the only one playing the game, so it's important to get the feedback from other people. Became a caricature of itself. Yeah, Simcook, yeah. Borderlands is, it became the thing it was making fun of, which is always like super sad to see, right? It's like when you are self-aware and like making fun of like games industry stuff, and then it ends up taking like all the tropes of the games industry and not so much in a self-aware sense. None of that said, there were some pretty funny jokes in Borderlands 3, but yeah, as a whole, it just felt like too spammy. Like, even the UI design and like the explosions and everything were a bit much, right? Like at some point, your game just becomes like visually unplayable. A perfect example of a game I liked that suffered from that problem is like Overwatch. It's just like you start giving all these players like different flashy abilities, and in an attempt to make them all like look different from each other, they're all like different colors. So it's just like, it's like someone like stuck TNT in a kaleidoscope and like threw it at your screen anytime there's like a team battle, and it makes it like it makes it completely unplayable. And there's a billion other problems with Overwatch 2, but that was like one of the like just ones that bothered me a lot. It's like, man, I've been looking at screens all day. I don't want to like have my corneas like burnt out from someone just ulting on me. That's an example of like me not paying attention to the level I'm building. We're gonna squash this down, I think. But you know what? Even better idea. We're gonna flip it. Welcome back, Otten. Always good to have you, man. Let me go look at this level to see how I like mashed these up. Okay, so I did square it off. That's what I thought. Yeah, then I would probably extend the walls past the yeah. I see. Said the blind man. You guys doing like a little dance? Collide with each other. Just monitoring their behaviors real quick to kind of see like what their pathfinding's doing. Give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. I'm going to get some more water because I am thirsty. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Got my water, ready to hydrate, make some more levels. Something is vaguely soothing about just kind of like watching AI do its stuff, just kind of like float around. Thanks. Yeah, as a whole, this level isn't like super big, but I think it's like the perfect size of like a test course to like have people run through. In general, there's like nothing out there. originally this level was just this like fire range right here. We're like, well, I mean, while we're at it, we might as well just like, you know, add this like testing area. Auden, is the level almost done? Are you referring to this one or the one we're working on? Because the one we're working on still has quite a ways to go, but this level is actually done and playable. This is available in our beta branch on Steam, and it's also available on itch at the moment. The version on itch is a little outdated, but it is playable. Yeah, this is just like a little sandbox that we like gave players to kind of get a feel for just the general gameplay and everything. This isn't something that's going to be like in the final game. Our thoughts of this were, we kind of treated it like the there's that training course in like Call of Duty 4 that you can like run through and like shoot the targets and stuff. This is essentially our equivalent of that, right? Because it ends up looping right back to the very beginning, and then you'll be able to talk to an NPC, and he'll ask you if you like want to sign up for like the mailing list or Discord or whatever. And then if you want to do the course again, you can just come and hit this button, and it'll let you refresh everything, and you can run through the levels as many times as you want. Testing like doing like melee or just guns or certain types of guns, different play styles, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then there's like a little computer log here that tells you a little bit about it. Yeah, this level is basically done, and yeah, if you want to check it out, it's available on itch.io. But yeah, the big demo that we're working on is still got a ways to go, especially this level. This level needs a lot of iteration and changes, and y'all are gonna get to see every step of it. I might do the occasional like tweak offline, but this is kind of an experiment in itself, just to see if I even have the mental capacity to build a level while also talking to people, because it's possible I don't. But hey, we'll see. These need to move over. No, I don't want to select both. Give me that one. Nice. That's what I want. Turn. Rotation snap back on. Trying to mirror what I did in that other level. Oh, that's right. I forgot I did like the half wall there. You know what? I could probably bring that down. That would look. I don't know if I like that or not. I'm gonna leave it. Again, this is only a first pass of the level. We're gonna be doing a lot of iterating on this. Bring in a roof. Nope. I forgot that. A roof is just a floor that is above you. On the night, I got an idea with this laptop I got with the FPS limit. I can possibly make a cool low poly pirate game with it. Oh yeah, dude, I love pirate games, man. Yeah, back to what we were talking about earlier about Pirates of the Caribbean Online. Nothing fancy visually about that game, but it was a lot of fun. What style of game do you think you're gonna make? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like, is it gonna be like a hack and slash? Is it gonna be like a surrounding mostly like boat mechanics? I played a ton ton of Sea of Thieves around this time last year. So always up for a new pirate game, especially one that works. No offense to Rare. Kind of some offense to Rare. I gotta give them props though for a company that had never made a multiplayer game to go and make a multiplayer game as like interesting and like successful as Sea of Thieves is quite the achievement. That said, I kind of just want a new Conkers game or Banjo. Same like Naughty Dog, like I would kill for a new Jak and Daxter game, like an actual mainline like Jak 4. I think with like modern hardware that'd be so cool. I loved Jak 3 as a kid, like all the different vehicles and like desert environments and action. I mean, it was so cool. On the Night, third-person single player where you can build a crew and upgrade your ship. Nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. Do it. Build it. Build it and they will come. And they is me. I will come. Yeah, I've always liked these like kind of structures where it's like the environment's like kind of built in and meshes with walls and everything. Like, it's not like super practical. Well, I guess it kind of would be. There are like some cave houses and stuff that use like part of the structure of the stone as just like a wall itself because it's cheaper and easier than like fabricating something and moving it. So making them like mesh well in a game is definitely difficult though. On the Night, a mix of Pirates of the Caribbean and Sid Meier's Pirates. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Sid Meier's Pirates. To be honest, I forget that Sid Meier makes anything other than Civilizations, but yeah, I remember my friend used to play that game a lot. Huh. Sounds like an interesting concept. I would love to see it. So yeah. Best of luck when it comes to developing that, man. And you know, I always think it's kind of a good idea to have like another project that you can like bounce back to, right? Obviously, like you want to focus most of your time on your primary project, but you know, sometimes you're just feeling burnt out, right? And you're feeling burnt out specifically on the project that's become like your baby. And you're devoting all your time and energy and your soul to this one project, but you have creative bandwidth, but just not necessarily for that project. So having something you can occasionally tinker with is like a little backseat, you know, hobby project, I think is a good idea. Funny enough, we're at Skunk Ape, we're gonna be doing something pretty similar pretty soon. I don't want to talk about it too much until it happens, but we are going to be getting the IPs and licenses back from our original games. So there's a chance, if we can get those old projects working again, that we're going to put out some updates for our old game Deadlock. So that might be something we like kind of work on on the side just to, you know, because we always wanted to finish it. It was just, you know, we weren't seeing any money from it, so we had to go get other jobs. And with the programmer who made those projects is no longer with us. You know, it was going back and working in them is just messy, right? Rest in peace to my boy Ian. We miss him. Wish we could be working on games with him still. We're gonna keep going though. Like I said, any way you can. You know, the sand coming into this other area up here kind of makes sense. I don't think for this like lower area the sand would be like so fresh. I'm thinking it would probably be, I'd almost be okay with it being like a darker sand. Oop. Yeah, that would be important. Should it be like a black sand? I don't know. Kind of looks red almost. Hey, you think you and I and Lawless could work on this game? Ah, man, dude, I would love to, but our bandwidth is just tapped out right now, man. We've got McSpacebiff to work on, and beyond that, we have some other games that we're getting ready to kind of bring back to life and support a little bit now that we're getting the titles to those back. To be honest, we barely have the bandwidth for McSpacebiff. But yeah, if for whatever reason we ever like have some extra bandwidth or some time, I'd be down for like a collab at some point. But yeah, right now we're just focusing on, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's on McSpacebiff in order to hopefully maybe get some funding for it. And then while we're doing that, we have to do some updates for our old game, Deadlock and Root. But yeah, I like the idea, dude. I wish there were 80 of me so I could work on everything everywhere all at once. Yeah, some other time, dude. I'd definitely be down if we ever get the bandwidth, but yeah, to be honest, McSpacebiff is a little big for a two-man team, but it's our baby, and it's something we're very keen on finishing. Mainly because it was the first game. Will and myself and Ian, our programmer who passed, all worked on together. So we wanna see it finished. And even if the concept is like a little big for a studio of our size, you know, we're gonna keep our heads down, keep powering through. You know, I'm not digging the black sand. Yep, I know. There. That's not bad. Yeah, maybe we use like this kind of pebble sand. It could be darker later, but I think this looks okay for now. How's the stream quality, by the way? Is it like dipping at all? Is it like iffy? I know around this time of night it kind of like dips a little bit. All right, well, that's good. I think we finally found the secret formula when it comes to a bit rate that my internet can handle. So yeah, I was really wanting to stream in 1440p, but it was just a bit too much. And to be honest, 1080p is kind of fine. On the night when I make this pirate game, I should keep it small. Yes, absolutely. You should do what I recommend to everyone. So everyone always talks about building a vertical slice, right? But before the vertical slice, I recommend doing what we're calling a vertical sliver, because it instead of a sliver, you know, we call it a sliver because it's not even like big enough to technically be called a vertical slice. It's just like the bare minimum like core mechanics and idea, and then once you have that, you know, you get some people to test it, get some feedback on it, and see if it's an idea worth pursuing, right? We're technically building what we would call a vertical sliver of McSpacebiff. Every day it's kind of encroaching more into a vertical slice territory. Technically a vertical sliver would probably be that little like arena that we built, but that doesn't show off all the mechanics we want to show off, or not enough of it to be considered a vertical slice, right? Because we want to show off like NPCs and quests and vehicles and stuff, and so that area wasn't quite big enough. Yeah, keep it small and simple though, and yeah, make sure it feels good. And don't be afraid to release a small game. That's something a lot of people, they always think that they have to spend like 7 years on their like dream project, right? But in reality, it's kind of better to like release like small polished experiences every so often, as opposed to just like 7-year gamble mega game, right? Because, you know, for one, what if you can't finish it, right? Like, life happens, things get in the way, and you know, you get 5 years into a project and some life-changing event happens, and there you are, you're stuck with an unfinished game. And it would have been better to have something that, you know, maybe isn't as impressive or cool, but it exists. So yeah, small games with like tight experiences, build those, and then take those ideas and put them into something else and build on top of that. On the night, I will only had 2 weapons for the player and 3 things for the ship, making a small ship with only 1 island to go to as the demo for now. Yeah, that's a good idea. You know, keep the variables small, but make sure, you know, the things that are in it feel good. McSpacebiff. Right now, 2 weapons, SMG and a revolver, just because it covers, you know, the widest range of things that we want the player to feel, because it's like the revolver can kind of work at long to mid range, and the SMG works close to medium, and one is, you know, single fire, the other is rapid fire. So that was something we could do in the shortest amount of time possible. We want to add more guns to the game, and we actually do have the functionality of the laser gun working that you get from the drones when you kill them, but we don't have a model for it yet, so we're not showing it off. And on top of that, we plan on doing a couple more weapons, right? Yeah, this is... This is one we were working on, concept-wise. It's like a lever action space carbine. So we're probably gonna like take this and model this out. But again, for now, we're just we're not worried about the guns, because, you know, we've made guns before for our different games, like Denizen, or, you know, the very original McSpacebiff, or even Root. So that's something we're confident that we can build out. So we're working on all these other things first to make sure that our untested ground is holding up. Things like our level kit, our open world streaming, our quest systems, our vehicles, that kind of stuff. You have a space lever action. You drew it. Has a horseshoe at the end of the barrel. Oh, very nice, Auden. Yeah. I am a fan of that style of aesthetic. Let me see. Excuse me. You know what? I'll use this. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that's that cough coming back. Yeah, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have this pile up through the entrance here. Then I'll make this look like it was a hallway. Boom, 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 boom. I need corner. No, 45. There we go. close this up. But all these ideas we get sometimes will never get finished because of the things that happen in life. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, it could be anything from, you know, just losing a job, or, you know, your computer crapping out on you, or some sort of life-changing event. You know, you never know. It's impossible to say what tomorrow holds. So, you know, sometimes it's better to work on something, you know, a little bit smaller, something within your grasp, because you can't know for sure. We're actually gonna push this back one more. Yeah, like I said, you know, we had to take basically a 6-year hiatus from game development, just because of a bunch of factors. And then, you know, when we tried to get back and do it, our programmer, you know, he got sick and, you know, couldn't work on games anymore. So it's been a while just trying to, you know, pick up the pieces again and get it rolling. But yeah, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. So if you're really passionate about something, work on it while you can. But don't forget to, you know, keep living your life too. Don't forego everything just for an idea, right? I was really bad about that for a long time. I always, like, you know, skipped out on parties and, or, well, not parties, but like invitations to like see friends or go places, because, you know, I wanted to work on something. You know, there's a balance to be made with everything, right? Don't get so wrapped up making something that you forget to live your life, because you only get one. Yeah, that's why that is why it's a good idea to make a quick game and get it out, right? Because, you know, spending 7 years on this, like, you know, super fantastical dream project, you know, that's all well and good, but there's so many things that can happen that can stop you from finishing it, and then, you know, you're 5 years in with essentially nothing to show for it, right? And that's not to say nothing, but, you know, people can't play it. So it's better to make something small and fast and something people can actually enjoy, rather than spending 8 years on a game that people might end up not liking, right? Because that's possible too. And then now you have a 8-year chunk of time that's kind of down the drain. It's better to, like, build your audience first, and then, you know, once you have like a little bit of an idea of what people like, then you go and build something big. But you know, make sure you have funding for it first, and an audience that will play it once it's out. Otherwise, try to stick to like these like small, cool experiences. Try and make it more than 2 hours though, because you know, Steam is kind of brutal in the sense that, like, if your game is less than 2 hours long, people can refund it after they, like, play through the whole thing. That's something we found out the hard way. Our first game, Root, could be played in, like, basically an hour and like 40 minutes. You spent 2 years on yours and was almost done. All you needed was some story and level design. Yeah. Yeah, there's like I said, there's a lot of things that can come up that can stop you from putting the final touches. Our game, Denizen, was very well along, and people liked it. I mean, we took it to conventions, and it did really, really well. We had like potential publisher offers, but you know, it was a kind of big game, and you know, life happened, and you know, we had to go get full-time jobs elsewhere because we couldn't keep working on it, and you know, be able to pay the bills. So it would have been a lot smarter to just like build it out first as like a smaller game, and then build on that idea once there was an audience for it. Let's pull this up. Yeah, that's what I thought was going on here. Okay. I just want to close this up entirely on the off chance that someone glitches into your... Actually, you know what? Let's pull this through the roof. There you go. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gotta like look good from like a peek. Only reason level design and story took so long is because you're bad at those two things. yeah, I feel that, man. It's you know, it's hard to be, you know, fantastic at everything, right? And you know, don't be too hard on yourself, because those are things you have to like, you know, practice to be good at, just like anything else. Some people are gonna have their affinities one way or the other. Like, I'm a pretty shoddy programmer, to be honest. And funny enough, I'm a programmer for a living, but when it comes to like game programming, I'm less than adequate at it, because it's the thing I have the least experience in. Because generally speaking, I work with programmers, or you know, someone takes that role while I focus on other aspects, because you know, I'm better at like level design or character design or whatever than the other guy, so I let them handle the programming. My suggestion would be maybe checking like some forums or something, maybe on like Reddit, see if there's like anyone out there who is like looking for a partner in development. Generally speaking, being able to program and animate, you're like the belle of the ball, to be honest. I mean, most anyone can figure out how to snap blocks together. Learning to program is difficult, right? And that's not to say that there isn't an art and skill to level design, but it's far less technical, right? It's more of like a feeling thing, and more so just like a trial and error, and just time investment, right? Whereas like some people just don't have the mind for programming. So there's definitely like some level designers and stuff out there who would love to work on the type of game, you know, you make, and I'm sure someone would be willing to partner up. Or, I mean, don't sell yourself short either. I mean, I'm sure you can get a hang of it after a while. It just takes practice. Lean into your strengths is what I would say. So, you know, certain types of games, the level design don't, you know, it doesn't matter as much as like the core gameplay, right? Or like just generally how it feels. Excuse me. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna have this wrap around and cut back through here and then reconnect there. Night. The thing is, I made plugins in Unreal to get a game done faster for the next time. I made damage systems, mini systems easier. One of them is on GitHub too. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, a lot of what we spent time doing in this game in particular is like laying the groundwork for next iterations of games. So it's taken a really long time to kind of get a feel for Unreal. I mean, we've been in the engine for about a year now. But once we build all these like blueprint systems for things like, you know, the snap kit or just the AI and like the handling and like the swapping weapons and inventory systems and everything, we kind of set ourselves up for a faster building of whatever our next game is. Like if we were to go and build a sequel to our first published released game, Root, using the snap kits that's like built out for, you know, McSpacebiff, we could probably rebuild that game in, you know, 2-3 months, right? Now, we wouldn't want to do it to the same level that we did it originally. So in reality, it would take a lot longer because, you know, we're better at just design and ideas and everything than we were, you know, 10 years ago. So, but I think it's always a good idea to build your systems first, right? What's the saying is slow is fast and fast is slow. Because it's like if you just try and break in and like put together a bunch of things like really, really quickly without thinking about the creep and like long-term maintenance and like how fast it can bloat, it will slow you down in the future and you won't even realize it because you'll be doing so much backtracking and redoing of work. But when you like build a bunch of systems first and plugins and things that like make your life faster, it's slower to get going, but it allows you for faster iteration down the road, and that's very, very important. On the night, I made the menu system for everyone to use it. Not done yet, but I wanted to make sure every game dev didn't have to go through that. Oh, that's very honorable, man, because yeah, there's some people who just can't figure it out, and you know, even if they could figure it out, you know, why reinvent the wheel, right? Like if someone who wanted to make a new, better car had to design everything from scratch every time, it would be a huge pain. So why not, you know, borrow a chassis or a steering wheel or whatever. So I think that's really cool that you did that. Oh man, it is 11:30 at night. This level's starting to look kind of cool. I'm thinking this is probably a good place to stop. I'm gonna make the menu system free when I get it done. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, good for you, man. I think we need more devs like you who are willing to, you know, kind of put the legwork in to make life easier for some other devs. We'll probably release this, you know, SnapKit blueprint system at some point. Yeah, we want to see other people succeed too, which is why I like put out a video on like the functionality of it, and someone could easily build it themselves too, based off of the video I put out. But yeah, yeah, this has been super fun. I'm liking the way this level's starting to look, meshing the, you know, the vibe of the sand collapsing in on everything, and, you know, this kind of like windy dungeon feel, and allowing the player to like have a couple different options to like make their way through the level. I think it's coming along. Excuse me, man. Yeah, that's my body telling me it's time to call it a night. So I think we're gonna leave it off here and then reconvene Thursday. Will's got some streams coming up on Twitch, so keep an eye out for those. Those should be generally around midday. Thanks everybody for hanging out. It's been really, really cool. Always love having you here. Love talking about game design, levels, you know, the industry, everything in general. Y'all are always like super, super cool, and it's great to have you. See ya.